Hey guys, welcome back to Old Pete Gaming. Doing something a little different today. I am doing a beginner's tutorial for Steel Division 2. So this is the first of what I hope to be a series of tutorials that are aimed for players who are, brand new to the game. Maybe they bought the game on the Steam sale over Christmas and, they're not quite sure what's going on. Some, quick tools that they can access to help improve the game right away so they can they enjoy the game more and hopefully stick around because, I want to see us grow the player base. So if you are an experienced player in Steel Division 2, this tutorial is probably not for you, but give it a like anyway, so that hopefully it spreads around and folks can see it. All right, so without further ado, so what I wanted to show for new players, because one thing I've noticed with new folks is they tend to be very defensive. I think they're just scared that they're going to get ambushed. Maybe they've had some bad experiences where they didn't unload their transports in time and they get sniped on a road, and that stings. And so they are very defensive. And so here's an example of being what I think is too defensive in a start of Steel Division 2. So you have your flags, okay? You should, at an absolute minimum in this game, you should plan to allocate troops at the open to every flag that you control at the start. I don't care what the roads look like. Go overland if you have to. Get troops in there and control the flags that you start with, because otherwise you're automatically going to start getting ticked down. Beyond that, it's very advisable, I would almost say necessary, but very advisable at a minimum, to push in at least one area, usually 1 to 2 areas. You don't want to thin yourself out so much that you then get destroyed and get wiped out in a counterattack. So you'll see here, he's being way too defensive here. His flags are up here, okay? And he's allocating a bunch of troops here, but look at how much territory of his I'm going to have to cross before I ever come in to contact with these troops that he's allocating here. And so this deployment here just doesn't make sense. He should be rushing forward and trying to hold this flag. Okay, we both start with these flags. I should at least, at the very minimum, try to hold this flag. And if I'm feeling ambitious, try to conquer this flag, which is what I'm doing here. You see, I'm bringing troops up. I'm bringing them cross country, and I'm just getting to push his flag. And the reason I'm doing that is because I think he's going to be, because of the way the roads are, I think he's going to be pretty slow to get here. And so I think I can contest that reasonably well if I bring the right troops. And I'm going to do a different video on what sort of troops to bring at the open to go with the right type of terrain that you are going to be fighting on. I want to show why you want to push flags and at a minimum hold your flags, and what happens if you don't do that. See what the results are from him being too defensive here and me being aggressive. And he's also being too defensive back here. I think he should take a strong defensive line, so he should be moving forward. He's just too defensive all around, but this is catastrophic, this mistake here. So let's watch what happens, and we'll talk about that as we go. So you can see he's deploying back here. He won't have line of sight back here. He's even got his Recon back here where it just can't see anything. And so it's not going to be able to provide any recon, and that's not good, right? You want your recon to have a very long line of sight where it can see lots of things, because its entire purpose is to be your eyes. And it doesn't make sense to put a blindfold on your eyes by having them in cover like that. And I'm not trying to trash talk this performance here. We all make mistakes. I can go through one of my games and point to 100 mistakes that I make. But this is just something that needs to not happen if you want to win games in Steel Division 2. Just this is a flag that he should have units on. This is very defensible terrain. You can have units easily, but instead the units are back here, right? Now, I'm not going to push into the town here just because I know how dangerous that is to push into buildings without infantry. So I'm going to wait to bring up my infantry and just kind of be content to have this sort of foothold on this edge of the town, right? Because now I have a point where I can bring in infantry and start to push there. But you can see I've completely taken this hill. I've got now a very dominant position on this hill. I've got artillery, I've got anti-air, I've got armor, and I've got 5 squads that are designed to fight in this heavy cover, right? So you bring a line infantry unit into that, and you're gonna pay with its life. So again, I'm not going to show this whole battle. I just wanted to show why it's so important to not be too defensive. I think I will actually show a little bit more, just because this deployment's going to have a cascading effect for him, because, you know, I have a unit here, I can see how far back he has his units. And so I realize, okay, he might not even have anything here, right? And so same here, like, I know he doesn't have anything here, right? Because I have armor, including a recon tank, and I've pushed my front line over the houses, so I know these are empty. I mean, technically they could have a recon unit, but very unlikely, just because of how fast we got up here, and you would be unlikely to just bring a lone recon into a position like this, I think. The thing about Steel Division 2 is it can kind of get an avalanche effect to itself if you're not careful. So you don't want to give. So here is another classic example. He technically controls this woods at the start. I mean, this whole area is on his side of the map. He should have, at a minimum, units occupying this area. Instead, I'm allowed to just walk units up into it. That's a huge mistake. You've got to contest the front line. It's not optional. Not if you care about winning. So here's a mistake, right? This unit can only engage within 100 meters, but he has it showing at a greater range than that. So when my unit sees it, it can engage with its rifles and its light machine gun, and he couldn't do anything. I mean, he could have dropped smoke, but he couldn't engage my unit at that distance in any way. So here, another flag we've taken because of too defensive positioning and not really prioritizing this sector. I think what really hurt him is he didn't have his recon where he could see that I had all that armor there, so I don't think he maybe realized quite how much I was sending to that area until it was maybe too late. So you can see what I was saying about the snowball effect. You know, at first this light machine gun was the only thing on this front line. Now, this AT gun back here too, but now I've brought up tanks that can help assault this woods. I've brought in infantry that have occupied the strong position of this village and actually have pushed this flag. So now we're 6.5 minutes in, and we're at 15-9, and so it will be over, and you know, this battle will be wrapped up in less than 20 minutes at this rate. And so that is why it's really important to just make sure you contest the frontline flags. Okay, guys? So that's all I wanted to show. I'm not trying to show this whole battle. I just wanted to make that little tutorial to just give folks a heads up about the basic mechanics of how Steel Division works and why it's important to not be too defensive on your opener. So, you know, if you liked this video or you think it might help folks, give it a like. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you again next time.